What's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So, wishing death on political opponents appears to be where we're at now in Trinidad and Tobago, and we need to have a serious conversation about this. Um, when an individual who is not really worth talking about, to be frank, and I wouldn't ordinarily talk about someone of this caliber, someone of this insignificance, but this person felt it was normal to make this statement. So therefore, we should and must talk about it and why this is indeed not normal. So if you bear with me, I'm struggling with a bit of a cold at the minute, but getting better for those of you who are concerned. So yes, I don't know how many of you saw the video recently doing the rounds on social media. This gentleman said with all his chest that, or he openly decided that he would put this video out there, openly suggesting that anyone who supports the PNM, he wishes they.
I wish everybody in the PNM get heart attack and dead.
I mean, this is so ridiculous. I don't actually believe I'm actually making a video about this. I'm questioning whether I should or shouldn't, or I have questioned whether I should or shouldn't. But nonetheless, we're here now. So let's continue. So on camera, this gentleman said he wishes all PNM supporters should get a heart attack. The irony is this gentleman looked like he was probably a few doubles away from heart failure himself. But that's beside the point. I'm not sharing this to stir drama or to take sides. And in fact, I don't actually care which party you support, UNC or the PNM. Excuse me. Or if you don't support any party at all. What I do care about is the direction that the country of Trinidad and Tobago is heading in. And as a nation, if we normalize this level of hatred over politics, where do we go and what's next? This is not normal. This is not normal behavior. I don't know if we are, or if we are taking our cues from America and the likes of Donald Trump. And it feels like it. It feels toxic. Everything feels toxic. And that's not what politics should be about, not in a democracy anyway. And for someone who was born in Trinidad and lived through political change and hardship and division, I would say that I've never seen politics be this bitter. I've seen politics create loyalty. I've seen politics create hope. And of course, bitterness. Yes, I say I haven't. But to this level of hatred, I don't think I've known it. But clearly it's been there for a very long time. Never in my life did I think we'd reach a point where people felt comfortable wishing death on fellow citizens just because of how they may or may not decide to vote. This ain't political passion. This is like toxic. This is poison. Toxic masculinity. You name it. This is what this is. And it's high time we recognize this for what it is. We are not America. We are not Donald Trump supporters. The toxicity involved in Trinidad politics right now is like I have never known it to be, ever seen it before, and worse than ever. Worse than ever. It's astonishing to me. And it's astonishing the disappointment people are about to witness in the next 4 years if we don't stand up and fight back against this nonsense. So whilst we're here, let's talk about what's really going on in Trinidad. Excuse me. So, as we all know, unless you've been living under a rock, the general election is on Monday, and it's shaping up to be nothing more than in my opinion, and I base my opinion on facts and research I've done throughout the world and looked at how politics have gone on a political scale worldwide. It's generally been a protest vote against the incumbent government. We've seen it in Germany, we've seen it in the UK, we've seen it in America. Landslide win for the opposition leaders. We've seen this pattern play out literally all over the world since COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war. Global inflation skyrocketed, and opposition leaders everywhere from the US to the UK to Germany, like I've already mentioned, used it to blame local governments for the suffering of the people. And listen, in all actuality, that's what you would do as the opposition leader. You know, if you want to win, you throw in everything that's been happening. You're a bit disingenuous. You don't actually talk about what's happened globally. That if you were indeed in power at the time as well, the same thing would likely have been happening to the country. You eliminate that part, right? You don't talk about how, you don't talk about the inflation rates and because of the that happened when during COVID-19. You don't talk about the Russia-Ukraine war that had a drastic effect on oil and gas prices and the supply of oil and gas. You just talk about the local government, the servant government, not serving the people well enough, and hopefully you get yourself into power. But here's the truth. And I want to go on record as saying this. You are about to be very, very disappointed. You are about to be very, very disappointed if the election goes in the direction I believe it's going to go based on what's happened worldwide. Because the change that people really, really want, more money in your pockets, less crime, better healthcare, is not coming with the new faces you are about to vote in. I want to go on record as saying this because you know what? I want you to look at this video in 4 years' time, or in a year time, or in 6 months' time and said, that guy was absolutely right. You are not about to be not one penny better off if you believe the same political class that's been recycling promises for decades is suddenly going to deliver the change. You are sadly mistaken, my friends. Sadly mistaken. And I guarantee you this. You will be right here in a few years' time having the same conversation about low pay, high crime, inflation, and failed leadership. Right here. I guarantee you. And I want to go on record as saying this. I take no pleasure in doing this. I've seen it happen worldwide. America, Germany, the UK, you name it. It's happened on a grand scale worldwide. A protest vote has happened. The people are expecting real change, and they are left disappointed. I would go on to say this is likely to be also one of the worst times for anyone to be in power in Trinidad. One of the worst times, especially with the global political landscape. What's happening worldwide with these tariffs that Trump's putting on the world? It's going to affect Trinidad massively. Any of you who have watched my previous videos, and I ask you to go and watch them, we do 40% of our trade with America. We sell 80% of our oil and gas to them, I believe, currently. Donald Trump and the pressure he's applied has seen us lose the Dragon gas deal. We lost the Dragon gas deal, not because of local politics, because of geopolitics. Donald Trump said no. And our government said, okay, sir, because we don't want to lose what we have with America. We'd rather lose the Dragon's gas deal with Venezuela instead. It's a compromise we made. It's a tough compromise, but we lost billions. Sovereignty. We're supposed to be sovereign, aren't we? We are not sovereign. Anyway, I digress. This might actually be the time we actually start considering cutting our ties or reducing our dependence on the US. But of course, that brings its own challenges, right? And this is not going to happen. By the way, if the UNC does win this election, this ain't going to happen. There is no ties that's going to be cut with the US. Nothing's going to happen. We need to be looking that way, but it's not going to happen. The dying empire that's America, we should be looking elsewhere. It's not going to happen. So, yes, a protest vote, I'm telling you, will possibly push the UNC into power. But then what? Empty promises made, empty promises kept. Mark my words. Mark my words. I've seen this. I've seen this play out. It's not like I'm making this up. It's in front of our very eyes. And let me be clear, right? Let me be honest and clear. That's not because the PNM have been great. We know they've been atrocious, in my opinion. Let's be honest. They've disappointed us for years. They've underachieved. They've underachieved. I believe the crime rate in Trinidad is when you have a murder rate of 630, you could, for what in 1 year, that's astronomical. But let's also be clear about the alternative. Let's be clear about the alternative. A 73-year-old stubborn narcissist leading the UNC versus a younger, more dynamic leader in the PNM, if you ask my opinion. I know who I'd put my bet on, at least to try and bring some kind of change to Trinidad and Tobago. So this election, won't be a victory for anyone. Sadly, I think it would be a lesson. And it's a lesson we seem to fail repeatedly. Time and time again, we seem to, it's like doing that exam repeatedly and failing on the same question. And we are doing this repeatedly in Trinidad. And when I created this channel, when I created this empowerment network, I wanted to create it to lift people, right? Not to try and tear people apart. And in doing so, I have to point out what I see, what I believe, and what I've researched as facts, and what I believe is fiction. And if we believe in tough conversations, this is what we are going to have about Trinidad and Tobago. If we believe in accountability, not in violence or division, not in some clown wishing death upon the opponents. If we want a better Trinidad and Tobago, we have to build it together. We're all living in the same place. Trinidad and Tobago has to be built with mutual respect, even when you disagree. Wishing death on someone is because they vote. It's a level of insanity that goes beyond, it's not human. So, here's what I'm going to ask you today, right? If you see nonsense like this, on social media, please call it out as best as you can. And yes, most of you don't feel inclined to do that, don't feel it gets you anywhere, but do what you can to call out this nonsense, because this is not normal. Don't let political loyalty blind you to what's right and what's wrong. Demand better, not just from politicians, but from the people around you. I don't want to sound like a headmaster or a school teacher, but these are simple solutions, and these are things that I don't believe I should even have to discuss in this day and age. I think above all, we need to stay focused on the bigger picture in Trinidad and Tobago, because the truth is, no party can save Trinidad and Tobago unless the people are united. And we're clearly not that. We have such a divide. And this is why they are able to take advantage of you. We must do better. I'm going to conclude by saying this. Let's to whoever sees this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please, if you could help just by clicking subscribe or liking or sharing, please do so. We need to grow this network and get as much people on board as possible. Let's try and raise the bar for what it means to be politically engaged in Trinidad. Let's try and raise the bar. Let's be passionate, yes, but also let's be smart about this. Let's try and be strong, but without being hateful. Let's be Trinidadians and Tobagonians first and foremost, rather than UNC or PNM or whatever political party you affiliate yourself with. The message is we must do better. We must do better. So I thank you for watching. If this resonates with you, like I said previously, please like, comment, share, and most importantly, let's try and live this. Let's try and, let's try and do better, man. This is Trinidad Empowerment Network, and we challenge the narrative and we fight for a better tomorrow, is what I'm trying to say. This is who we are, and this is what we're about. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next video. For now, much love, God bless, take care.